¿Qué hubo, sangrones? Estamos en vivo. Let's get it out of the way. Oh my God, I totally butchered that we were live. Anyway, this episode of the Bleed Lows podcast is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL playoff stats. All the latest stats, news, and scores are available to follow for your favorite teams. Get the latest odds lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, odds, and just about every sport out there. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Bienvenido to Michael Carrillo, first one on the live. Joining us on the live is Mike Salas and then Babyface. So just to give you guys a little bit of an update in terms of what's going on. So Canelo, if you guys were following us on the social media, and if you're not following us on social media, now would be a very good time to follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, at the Bleed Lows podcast. You'll know that Canelo was actually covering the Dodgers and the National Series. So he was there in every game. He just finished the post-game interviews, which you can view on the Bleed Lows podcast YouTube page. Michael, we're going to go to that. So I know that we're doing the live while the NFL draft is going on, and everybody knows that I am a helpless Raiders fan. And Michael, all I will say about the Raiders pick is this. I think it was the right pick. My only concern is they don't have a quarterback to throw him the ball. And as my buddies were just telling me right now, they were just roasting me after that pick. They go, "What are you talking about? They have Minshew." Again, the Raiders don't have a quarterback. So you can have all these offensive weapons. In the end, I think the Falcons just screwed the Raiders when they ended up picking Penix. I don't think anybody saw the Falcons doing that. So I don't know if the Raiders were in it to try to make a trade, to move up to try to get Penix. Either way, the Raiders are always going to find a way to mess it up. So that's enough NFL draft talk for right now, guys. Let's go ahead and talk about what happened here with the Doyers. So the Dodgers just swept the Nationals in Washington. So, Mike, I want to get your initial reaction right now. How do you think they played in that series?
I think the Dodgers played very well tonight, or this series that they just got done finishing up with the Nationals in DC. I think the Dodgers fans actually got to see what the Dodgers' capabilities are. You know, what this team could actually be like as far as hitting, pitching. The bullpen actually pitched a really good 3-game series with them. You know, even though Evan Phillips did struggle, a bit the other day, gave up the most walks he's ever given up so far, 3 in a row. But other than that, I mean, I think the team did very, very well. Very encouraging. You could see that the team is getting together and it's starting to play, with one another, and that synergy, that we've all been talking about for a long time, and we like to see teams have, is actually happening.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Evan Phillips look like a completely different pitcher today? Like when he pitched the bottom of the ninth today, he looked dominant compared to what happened on Tuesday. Babyface, what'd you see from the Dodgers against this National Series?
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw what I was kind of expecting to see the last series, right? I didn't expect them to lose a series to them. I kind of expected this is a young team, kind of up and coming team, running team, trying to make a name for themselves. And I think the Dodgers this series, they had the big win yesterday, right? They scored in 20 hits and all that stuff. Today was a little tighter. I mean, Nationals have a good. They're starting to get a good young core of players, right? So, they played them tough, but I think we saw what we were expecting, and I was expecting a sweep at least. So, I think we got that.
Look, I knew that it was going to be a low-scoring affair because I don't know why this always happens in Major League Baseball, but the day that a team goes nuts, the Dodgers score 11 runs on Wednesday, have 20 hits. Just when the next day, it's like, how many times do you hear, Mike, hey, save some runs for tomorrow, guys, right? I mean, I do. One of the things that I was encouraged about was that they got to that Irvin kid, because this was the third time that Irvin had pitched against the Dodgers. And the first two times, like last year when he pitched against them, he only gave up one run. He shut him out over at Dodger Stadium. So that was the game that I was concerned about, that I thought, are they just have a hard time against Irvin? But they put up 6 against them, right, Mike?
Oh yeah, yeah. So they pretty much took it to him, So that was really good to see. One thing that I've noticed, over the years is it seems like, just in my point of view, the Dodgers seem to struggle against those teams that they are supposed to beat. It seems like all the time. They always seem like they don't really take the game too serious. And I think at Dodger Stadium, when the Nationals actually won the series, that they wanted to go to Washington and say, "Hey, man, this is who we are. We're the Dodgers, and we're going to sweep you with this series right here." So that was really good to see, for them to come back. And it was in Abrams, CJ Abrams also. He's been just a killer also for us. Getting off a leadoff home run. Single all the time, double, stealing bases. And it's good to see him in the last couple of games not do too as good as he was, probably the last 4 games that they played with him.
Yeah, I think so far you have to say that the Nationals won that trade, right? Or am I just being completely out of babyface? I know here's your opportunity to shit on the show pods, but the fact that the show pods, well, maybe they didn't, because the show pods ended up getting Michael King when they flipped Soto, and he's been so far, I think, pretty good for them. But losing CJ Abrams just seems like this kid looks like he's going to be a star.
Was Mackenzie Gore in that trade too? Right, he was in that one, right, or no?
I think so.
Yeah,
right? So
he
it was Gore and Abrams. So I mean, those are 2 pretty good blocks for the Nationals right there. So I mean, those 2, they can be future stars. I mean, I think Abrams definitely he's headed in that direction already. And Gore with a couple of years under his belt, I think he's going to be a pretty solid pitcher as well.
I want to address Michael Carrillo's comment here. And as you guys are slowly joining the live, Philip Lopez, the ghost of Al Davis, Mr. Raider, I had given my review on the Raiders' first-round pick. I told Michael Carrillo my thoughts. Philip, I'd love to hear yours. But when and if you guys want to chime in, as I said, you can do the super chat, and that'll move you to the front of the line, guys. So don't forget about that. Philip Lopez, 6 QBs in the first round. Wow, unheard of. Anyhow, it's the Dodgers. Okay, we're going to get to Andy Pacas, but I want to go back to Michael Carrillo's comment because I want to get Mike's opinion on this. Okay, so Michael says it's pretty maddening that they let CT3 bat this many times. I had to say this, guys, and I know that they do this, all right, but I hate this all right-handed lineup because I feel like this all right-handed lineup is just not their strongest lineup. Now, I know that Teoscar Hernandez makes a big difference having him on this, and I think the acquisition of him looks huge so far. But when the lineup got released this morning, right, everybody's just like, oh, okay. It's like, all right, here comes Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor has like what now? 1 hit in 45 at bats. They're going to keep putting him out there. But Mike, I've been saying this for a while. The guy gets limited at bats. How is he supposed to break out of this? When I think the last time he played was on Friday, when he looked so relieved that he got a hit. And now, guess what? Thanks. You got a big hit for us. You got a 2-run RBI. You get to sit now for the next 4 days.
Right. And that's the frustrating part. I would guess for the players itself, being those relievers, going out and playing left field, going out to play right field, center field. I'm going to go play, third base, shortstop, second base. Him and Kike, don't have that consistency to where, and I know we're going to bring up Andy Paez here shortly. Andy's actually getting what Michael Busch didn't get, and that's consistency game playing and being able to show what he could do. So that's the good thing about Paez. CT3 and Kike, they're not an everyday ball player. They come in, every other day, every 2 days, every 3 days, whatever they want to do, to come into the lineup and relieve. But it's hard. Baseball is a hard sport. You can't, if you're not consistently hitting the ball, you're going to be off rhythm all the time. So yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, Roger and Cody and I were texting last night, during the game, and I mentioned, I'm not a big CT3. I'm not a big Chris Taylor fan. Never have been. In my opinion, I think the Dodgers should have kept Kiki Hernandez and traded Chris Taylor away. When they made that trade to Boston. But that's just my own personal opinion on it. I think Kiki is a much better player. Especially in the infield, he can hit. He's just as much of a clutch player as Chris Taylor is. But yeah, Chris Taylor can't get started if he doesn't have the opportunity to play. You can only do so much when you're in the batting cages, and getting your reps in, before the game and, and on your days off. So he has no consistency. He's not seeing live pitches very much. So am I surprised? No, because, the last couple of years, he hasn't been all that great. He's come in clutch a few times, but, it's not surprising to me the way that Chris Taylor's struggling right now.
Babyface, I'm really surprised. Well, I shouldn't be surprised about this, but it seems like the Dodgers are platooning more players than I thought they would be platooning at the beginning of this season. And one of the guys, and I know Canelo has brought this up in the past, I know they haven't admitted this. Are they platooning Max Muncy? Because I feel once again a left-hander is on the mound and Muncy is not starting. And Muncy was a guy that used to hit left-handed hitters. And I know that they can always play it off. Well, they wanted to give him some rest, but it seems lately, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Am I seeing things? Am I looking for stuff? But it seems, aside from the fact that you're platooning Outman because you're sitting him whenever a lefty's on the mound. Gavin Lux is sitting whenever a lefty's on a mound. But it now seems that I think this is now the second, and it might be more, that Muncy sits when there's a lefty on the mound. Are they platooning Max Muncy, babyface?
I mean, it's hard to say because they have given that excuse of they're just giving rest, and those days that they've faced a lefty, it's been after a night game. It's been a day game after a night game, and that's kind of when they've given Muncy that day off. So has it been just something that's just fallen onto the schedule like that, and like, hey, they could take advantage of that, and they're gonna, it's a platoon, but we're gonna say it's a day off. So remains to be seen. I mean, we'll see. Next time around, lefty comes up, if it's a normal, night game, we'll see. But like I said, the last couple of times, I believe it's been night game and then a day game, and Muncy had the day off for whatever reason.
Well, here's the question. Also, Dodger fans, last year, what did we complain about? When we lost, against the Diamondbacks, Mookie was tired, Freddie was tired. The team looked tired. So the question I have is, Dave Roberts and the management actually going, let's start resting these guys early so they're able to go, in October. Because it seems that's kind of what I'm getting the feel for. Last year Freddie Freeman didn't go down at all. Didn't rest. They sat him on the bed, took him out at the 6th inning at the 11-2 game. They didn't do that last year. They took Mookie Betts out also. During that time. So is the Dodgers philosophy changed? This year. In regards to, we're going to rest our guys who they're going to be more ready. I don't know that. I think that's a big question for me.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Federico is that Federico refuses to take a day off or to come out, right? And that's one of those things where I think, well, who's running the ship here? And I know that like Shohei gets to do whatever the hell he wants, and the Dodgers are just like, yes, Shohei, well, whatever you want. But it's like, if Federico's like, and there were a couple of times, but only last year, where they did pull Federico out of the game, but that's only when they had a big lead, like what happened yesterday. But you have a point there, Mike. But my thing is this. these guys are older, and maybe that's why they look run down towards the end of the season. They don't have a young team, but they have won now 4 in a row. So I know last week it was the sky is falling. Was it just a little funk that they were going through, and now they're coming out of it, and this is the team? Because I got to tell you, I think babyface, it makes a big difference when your starters can go 6 innings. When your bullpen only has to cover 3 as opposed to having cover 4 or 5 innings, I think it's huge. So the fact that the starters, at least 2 of the starters in this series, were able to at least give them 6, I think that makes a huge difference in them playing better. And also, it doesn't hurt that your offense also is hitting.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been mentioning that for a while now. I mean, once you got to get your start in 6th, 7th inning, like you said, it gets your bullpen down to 2 to 3 innings tops. And then if you have Yarbrough in one of those games, he takes down 4 to 5 innings sometimes. So your bullpen's getting a lot of rest in those type of games. And I think this series, the bullpen wasn't used that much, right? And they saved a lot of bullets in that bullpen.
It was just Tuesday's game. It was Tuesday's game because I look, maybe this is who Paxton is, and we just need to accept that. But that dude makes so many pitches. He just I don't know if he is struggling with his command or he is just afraid to challenge any of these guys because he just doesn't have the stuff. But his ERA to me is misleading. His ERA is under 3. But the guy, one time I think he pitched into the 6th inning this year. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yep. Yeah. No, you're
and
right.
He's had the walk issues, right? He's the one he gave up that one game. He had 7-8 walks. This past game he's given, so he's having those command issues, and I think he addressed that too after the game. That's something that he's working on, and it's not him. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, Paxton, he kind of just needs to correct that. And I mean, if Paxton goes out and gives him 6, at the bare minimum 6, I think that's a win every time that he goes out.
I wish
I mean, Mike, I mean, if all these starters could give them 6, I think it helps the bullpen because look, one of the this guy was a contender for the Danny Duffy Award, but Alex Vesia looks like a different guy in his last few starts. And I mean, do you now have confidence in Vesia, or is it? Ask me. It depends on what day, Juan.
Alex Vesia is kind of up and down, has been up and down, for a while now. He'll come out and he'll have 2 or 3 games or a full series where he's looking really great. And then he'll go into Colorado, let's just say, or to another team like I was talking about earlier, that doesn't have a winning record. And it's all of a sudden he's walking people and giving up home runs and giving up base hits all the time. And it's just we need to get rid of, Alex Vesia now. So he's a real streaky pitcher, it was what I think. But I honestly think I think Paxton is going to turn things around within the by next month. I think we're going to see a different Paxton pitching for the Dodgers.
What makes you think that, Mike? What are you seeing that I'm not seeing with Paxton? Because the walks are very concerning to me. Because I mean, I think that was another pitcher. But I mean, when he's averaging more than 20 pitches an inning, and it's oh, bro, come on. I mean, it's I need these guys to give me 6 innings.
I think with his interview when he pitched, and after when they were interviewing him, and he recognized what he needed to do and the problems that he was having, that kind of gave me a little bit more confidence, because that Mark Pryor's on board with that, and we all know, the Dodgers, pitching coaches can bring around some good pitchers. So I think once he's identified some things and he knows what he has to do and he knows what he needs to concentrate on, I think by next month we're going to see a different James Paxton. And I could be wrong on that, but I that's what I think. I have a really good feeling about him that he's going to come out and do very well. And I think he's going to go into 6 innings. Personally, 6 innings, I would say 7. I would say each pitcher needs to go 7 innings, minimum, in my opinion. This we're not in the, because I watch a lot of minor league baseball, And so we're not in the minor leagues, to where the pitcher's coming in for 3 innings or 2 innings or 4 innings. We're rotating them in and out, and getting another starting pitcher in. This is the major leagues. These guys should be in there. I think Yamamoto should have came in for a 7th inning and let him pitch over 100 pitches. That is not uncommon for him. He's used to pitching 107, 109. That is not uncommon for him to throw that many pitches.
I've given up the dream of the 7 innings, Mike, unless it's Glass now.
Yeah.
But I've given up the dream that these guys. So that's why I've compromised and I said I'll take 6. If you give me 6 and have the bullpen cover 3, that's going to be fantastic for me.
I mean, even with Glasnow the other night, right? I mean, with Glasnow the other night, people were like, "Why is he back out there for the 8th?" Right? Like, people were like, "Why is he out so long?" Pretty much, like, the game was won pretty much, and like people were still wondering.
But he
why.
still had a low pitch count going into the 8th, right? Wasn't he still? It was in the 8th that he scuffled a little, but he was in the 80s, wasn't he, to start that 8th inning?
He was at 85.
Yeah, I had no problem with him going 8 innings, and you needed that, especially after Saturday's game. You were there on Saturday, babyface. I mean, with all the bullpen, all the pitchers they used, because again, you weren't getting any length out of Gavin Stone. I mean, like Michael Carrillo says, they're going to ramp up the starters, hopefully to go longer at the end of July and August. I hope that is the case. Babyface, how panicked were you when Yamamoto almost took that line drive off of his face?
Well, I didn't see it live. I saw the replay and I was like, that was really close. I mean, total instinct, right? I mean, I don't even know how. I mean, just to manage to even just get out of the way of that, just to dodge it, right, is totally impressive. But to actually catch that ball, I mean, impressive. And I think they asked him about it too, and he was just like how
I almost died. I almost died.
Yeah, yeah. How shooken up were you after that, and still to continue? So yeah.
No, I mean, I know nobody, like, because you can't do this. I know everybody. All I saw all over Twitter was you take away that Korea start, and his ERA, I think, is 2.
Yeah,
he
2.
lowered it to 2 with today's start. So I think it's been. I will say this also. He got a lot of help from the umpire today. For those of you who watched the game, some of those strike calls, I was just like, all right, you just put your head down and you take it.
I think all the pitchers did. All the pitchers, got good call, or benefited from the umpire and the way that he was calling the game. And it seems like we're getting used to that. Is the box has gotten a little bit bigger on some of these umpires, to where the outside and the inside and the bottom portion of the pitching box is has kind of maxed out a little bit. So yeah, he definitely benefited from a few calls.
I mean, Mike, you've seen that in how they're using the automated system in the minor leagues, right? You've seen in some of the games. I mean, do you think that's something that they should go to, or eventually, get to that, or have you seen, maybe that's not what they need to do right now?
I would love to see that come into the major leagues, because what happens in the minors is, and they don't do it like every single game. And, there'll be a game that they will go, today we are using, the automated portion. I don't remember the exact name of it. If it's a questionable call, each team will get 2, if I remember correctly, 2 challenges. So if there's a questionable call, the batter will go like this. He'll pat his head. He'll bat his helmet, and then they'll look at it. If the pitcher wants to question it, the pitcher will do the same thing. He'll pat his head also, or the catcher will do that, and they'll review it, and they'll either the call will stand or the call will be overturned. It's a great system. I've seen it a lot. Already this year, it's helped out. It kept a drive going for Oklahoma a couple times. And it's played against Oklahoma also, where they challenged it and they got the 3rd out, to end the inning. So I think it's a great system. It works out very well. Yeah, there's going to be some, little minor glitches probably, when they introduce it into the MLB, but I like it. I loved it.
It doesn't take that long either when they do it,
No,
huh, Mike? I
no,
saw a video and it seemed like it was just like within seconds
no.
that
It definitely takes them longer to review a throw at a bag or at the plate than it does to review a challenged call between a
yeah.
ball and a strike.
We're gonna talk. Go ahead, babyface.
Well, I was gonna say I don't know if I can get on board with that. I mean, I get it, right? It's for the benefit of the game, and make sure you get the correct calls. But I've always kind of liked. I mean, you have to have that kind of that human error in the game still. I mean, just by playing the game, right? I mean, and the thing though is, it seems the strike zone though has gotten worse and worse over time. You go back 10, 15 years. I don't think it was such an issue with like umpires calling balls and strikes. They were pretty much right. I think once you got into all them, the catcher trying to steal that strike, right, and they're moving. I think kind of that's where we started seeing more of that expanded strike zone. So I mean, if they could just get back to where they were pretty much 99% of the time right, I'm cool with that. I don't know how that automated system's going to work.
I don't disagree with you on that. The thing that I will, kind of, push back on is like when you have an umpire like Hernandez that's back there that's just like calling, strikes that are just like way off, that are clearly not in the strike zone and consistently doing that almost every game that he does, then yeah, then I would say, that automated strike zone needs to come into play on that because that affects every team. It just doesn't affect our team, the Dodgers, but it affects every single team. When you have an ump that's in there that can't even come close to calling a ball on a strike, and he's so far off.
I'm curious on this subject because I know like the Dodgers lead the league in strikeouts, and overall, I think strikeouts are pretty high in Major League Baseball. But I almost get the perception like these guys don't swing unless it's a perfect pitch. Like I feel like the hitters have a really good eye. Am I wrong there? But I feel like the nowadays in Major League Baseball compared to maybe earlier, I feel like there were more free swingers, and now I feel like players are more selective, and that's why the strike zone has become such an issue. Babyface, like am I wrong there? I feel like the memories you think of are those guys were just going up there hacking. They wanted to get a hit. And I feel like nowadays people are looking for a walk.
Yeah, I mean, I still think there's a lot of guys that hacking. I mean, the Dodgers, I think for whatever reason, it seems like they're more free swingers. I remember, just a couple years ago, they were the team that they saw the most pitches, right? They took the most pitches. They were looking to get on by walk, and it seems like that strikeout rate is going a lot higher, right? And then I know somebody like Teoscar, he's a free swinger, and I don't know if that's kind of going down and down through the team as well, but that's something that they address kind of going off of, I think Max Muncy said it going into the playoffs, how they're a very dedicated team. They go up to the plate. They're very disciplined. They know what they're looking for. And maybe that it hasn't worked for them when other teams that they've been facing have been up there free swinging, right? And they've been beating them. We saw that with the Diamondbacks. So maybe it's something that they're working on already that they're going to be, using for the playoffs, this year.
But I feel like with the Dodgers, though, they're missing pitches that are like right over the plate. Like Max Muncy is swinging and missing on pitches that are right over the heart of the plate. And that to me, I don't consider that free swinging. And I feel like that wasn't happening as much with the Dodgers. Like they swing at strikes, but for the most part, I feel like, if they did chase, it was pitches that were out of the strike zone. But guys like Chris Taylor and Max Muncy and Gavin Lux are missing pitches that I feel are right over the plate. Or is that just a figment of my imagination, Mike?
Let's not forget James Outman also. James Outman isn't doing all the best either. He's not swinging the bat, as well. So he needs to be thrown into that. But no, I agree with you. They're not. Do they chase? And I think that's just like we were talking about earlier. Them not. I can't say this about Max Muncy because he plays quite a bit. Chris Taylor, Kiki Hernandez, and I'll have to leave out, James Outman. They are seeing the ball and pitching, consistently, unlike Chris Taylor and Kiki Hernandez, and the other platoon players, that the Dodgers have, so they're not seeing it. Is that an excuse for them to be chasing, like Chris Taylor did today, the amount of balls that he chased, at least James Outman is getting some good solid contact and is getting unlucky a lot, in regards to the shortstop, the second baseman, the outfielder making a great play on him after, he has smashed the ball pretty good. But no, I agree with that. Max Muncy, I've always thought that, he was a ball chaser because he used to strike out quite a bit, back in the day also. So I don't really see the biggest difference I see in Max Muncy. I don't think he's, and I could be completely off on this. I don't think he's really like looking to swing like he used to be the last 2 or 3 years. He's putting the ball in play. It doesn't seem like he's swinging for the fences like he used to be. And so maybe that's what's helping, him with the strikeouts. So.
Well, let's talk about Andy Bacchus. You guys brought him up in the chat. So far, he's hitting 258. He's got 2 home runs. He's got 4 RBIs. Is that good? Are you guys happy with it? Or are you guys just really grading on a curve and you're comparing it to that hole that the Dodgers have in their lineup, which is the 7 and 8, 9 guys? Because the guy's hitting 258, because he's hitting 258 and the other guys are so bad, Andy Bacchus looks good.
I would say no. I think the sky's the limit for Bacchus. When he came back, when he was in spring training, because I was at spring training, for a little bit this year, and I watched him, quite a bit. He was hitting the ball hard. He was seeing the ball very well, and I was really surprised about that, especially coming off the labrum surgery that he had and missed virtually, all of last year, in the minor leagues. And the amount of weight that he dropped has been tremendous. So I think with his fitness that he has, and the speedy recovery that he's doing, he's able to, and his mindset that he got in the off season, I think he made a lot of big changes, that a lot of people don't know about, that is going to benefit this team. Because when Pages, was at Rancho and for Tulsa, he wasn't hitting all that great. He wasn't a very good hitter. He was a little overweight. And then once he started dropping some pounds and he started, hitting the ball, a little bit better, and then he hurt his shoulder, and then all of a sudden he comes into spring training and it's just like, wow, he's a completely different player. His speed is up, his movement is up. The way he's swinging the bat is a little bit different. So I think, on the Andy Pages is going to be, I think this is just a small sample of what we're going to see. I think he's actually going to get a lot better, and he's going to impress not only the Dodgers fans, but the Dodgers organization.
Well, I know everybody in the chat. I mean, I'm already seeing it. Like they're going to throw. There's going to be a riot if Andy Bacchus gets sent down. And Babyface, I know you brought this up. So what's the latest update on Jason Heyward, Babyface?
Well, I mean, it was the beginning of the series, they asked Doc about it, and he was saying, he's kind of still not really doing much. And I was talking to Cody because he was in Washington, and Cody seems to think that we're probably not going to see Heyward till like after the All-Star break, around that time frame. So, that's, and Roberts had said, Baez is going to he has a nice little runway. Originally it was probably like 2 to 3 weeks. And I believe they asked him again about that today. And he said for the foreseeable future, he's there, so there's no real time frame, but, like Cody was saying, he's kind of getting the vibes that Heyward might be out for a while. So if that's, if that's the case, Andy Pages is going to have a couple months to really do something and show something.
All right, let's do some irresponsible speculation here. If the Dodgers are sit there saying that Bacchus is going to have a lot of runway, and Canelo feels like is it the Dodgers know how bad Heyward's back is, and we're talking about a back, and I think like once something happens with the back, I think all bets are off. Like you saw what happened to Kershaw with a back. So I feel like the Dodgers, who are never forthcoming with their injury reports, anyways, they know something about Heyward that we don't know, and that's why they're fairly confident that they're going to sit there and say, look at us. We're going to give Bajes all. It's like, no, you guys know that you're not going to have Heyward back, and you don't have anybody else that you can put out there, because the real interesting thing to me is this. And Mike, you cover the minor league teams, so you might know this. What's it going to take for Miguel Vargas to come back up here?
That's the big question. Miguel is doing really well this year. I think he's got like 4 or 5 home runs already. He's got a number of RBIs. He's making really good contact, with the ball. He's playing left field. He's making some good plays. He's got a very, very strong arm. Just yesterday, he made an awesome throw, into home plate, from the outfield. So his arm strength is up there. What is it? I don't know. I think, his thumb injury last year kind of put a sour taste maybe into the management that's for the Dodgers. And now that they see Pages, who's come in and going, wow, this kid, he's got it. Let's see what he can do. I think, Vargas is going to be down in the minors, for a little while, unless, somebody else gets hurt, a phantom injury starts happening and they want to bring him up. But, I don't know, that's a hard one. If during the All-Star break, when all the trades start happening again, I actually kind of see Vargas getting traded, for another player. I don't really see him, being with the team.
Well, Vargas is hitting 300, 4 home runs, 22 RBIs right now in OKC. So he's playing pretty good. I mean, and that isn't surprising because every time he's been in OKC, this guy has been really good in OKC. The problem is when he comes up to LA is where he struggles. So, is it going to take something like, an injury, a phantom IL or something CT3 or something, right? They put him on the IL. I think that's when we might see Vargas, but he's going to come up and he's going to platoon. He's not going to get that. He's not going to get that runway like Vargas. I mean, like Pages.
See, and Pages, before he came up, he was really starting to get started. He didn't do too well once they released him. He wasn't on the team going to Korea, and they released him back to the minors. His first few games, he didn't do all that hot. And the last few games before he got picked, before they brought him up, is when he really started heating up and hitting the ball very well and got a couple of home runs. Was making really good contact and making a difference in the game. And then they brought him up after that. So they brought him up on a hot streak.
I mean, the reason why I bring it up is, and also congratulations to Miguel because he just became a U.S. citizen either a week ago or a few weeks ago. He's an American chicken now. Felicidades, Miguel. And that is, I know everybody in the chat right now feels that Chris Taylor is washed. And look, I think if you look at the numbers, you're going to see that it's been a pretty consistent down. I don't know if you want to call it downfall, but the productivity has gone lower and lower and lower. And at this point, maybe if you're not going to play him, if you're going to sit him for 4 days and you're only going to play him maybe once or 2 times a week, I think, Babyface, you bring up an interesting point. If you called up Miguel Vargas and you did the same thing to Miguel Vargas, is that really good for Miguel Vargas? Because, I think it's just really hard. It takes a specific kind of player to be able to be successful. Like the only guy I could think of that really did that was, you guys remember Olmedo Sainz, the professional hitter, El Tomate? Like that guy could sit on a bench all week, and then he come out and he would hit. I think there's just certain guys that can go ahead and do that, and then there's other guys that just they need the reps, they need the repetition of it. So, Michael, that's the other thing that maybe the Dodgers know. Maybe the Dodgers know that calling up Vargas, if he struggles again, it's going to hurt his trade value. So maybe the best bet is to keep him down there, let him keep raking in the minor leagues, and make him enticing for a trade.
I would actually really be shocked if they brought him back up, he struggled.
Really? So you think this time if he gets called up, it's going to be different for Miguel Vargas?
Oh yeah. I think so, because he's going to have a defined, let's say, Chris Taylor, got his phantom injury, and they brought him up and they made him the everyday left fielder, and they, platooned, Pajes, or they platooned Vargas and Pajes together, that's there, and they're playing every other game. Is that a good thing for them? In my opinion, no. I think they need to be in the game every day playing, and getting their reps in. But I think if Miguel came back up, I think it's going to be a whole different story for him. I think last year, the thumb injury really psychologically, hit him pretty hard, and I think that really screwed him up. With him being in here and them giving them that responsibility of second base and saying this is yours to lose. And that was a lot of pressure on him, and I don't think he handled it very well. So I don't think we really got to see the real Miguel Vargas. And I think, this is just my take from it for me, seeing him for a little bit now and watching him play in the minors, and watching his consistency and his, dedication and how he performs, in situations. I think, he's going to be a totally different person if they bring him back up.
See, I'd agree with that if he played, but I don't see him playing. If they bring him up, he's going to platoon. If they sub him in for Taylor, he's going to platoon like Taylor, and he's not going to get that chance to play every day. He's going to play once every 2-3 days. He might get a pinch hit one night here, one night there, and I think it's going to be the same. It's going to be hard for him to get in that rhythm and stay consistently, playing, getting that playing time.
Once again, time for rampant, irresponsible speculation, guys. I know everybody thinks CT is done, and it looks so far like he is in the lead for the Danny Duffy Award tonight. And I know that for James Outman, you can really make an argument because there are times where it just seems like this dude has really bad luck. But when we're talking about having enough spots for these guys, okay, if Bacchus is going to stay up and you have the Oscar, if you're not going to play CT, who's going to get more time in left field? What player do you guys see? Maybe they should give him more time in left field. Is there anybody in the farm system that maybe you think should be? Because you bring up an interesting point, Babyface. It's like they're not going to play him if they bring him up. And I know that this, Roberts and this organization does they prefer a veteran, but what are they going to do in left field if Chris Taylor, he's 1 for 45, if he goes 1 for 90? Roy Estrada thinks it's Kike. I feel like Kike has been spelling Muncy at third. I know he was spelling Outman in center field, but it seems like maybe Andy Bacchus now can spell Outman in center field. What are they going to do with that outfield situation, Babyface?
You're saying if somehow Taylor is on the IL or something, right? Who that spot goes to?
Well, even if he's not on the IL, I mean, the guy sat for 4 days. Like,
I mean, that's the only way. I mean, a lot of people are saying like, yeah, it's time to get rid of Taylor, but I just don't see it. I don't see them like DFAing the guy just because he's part. When you look at the Dodgers core, he's part of that core. Yeah, he may not be hitting, he may not be helping them there, but he's valuable in that clubhouse. And we know that the clubhouse weight carries a lot of weight for these guys. These players, what they feel about them in the clubhouse, right? He was the he was their Clemente nominee, right, last year, right?
Roberto Clemente nominee.
So we know the type of character weight that Chris Taylor carries in that clubhouse, and the Dodgers are not going to say, "Hey, dude, sorry, we're going to DFA you." So I feel they're going to give him as much opportunity to kind of get back on track, and how they're going to do that, I don't know. But like we're saying, if they're going to IL him or something, let him go down to Arizona, kind of get back on track, get consistent hitting. That might be an option. But as far as what they're going to do on left field, it's going to stay the same way unless, like we said, they make some type of move with Taylor.
It's interesting because I think I forget what was the number of at bats they said they were going to give Lux and then reassess. I wonder if they're going to do the same thing with Chris Taylor. I don't know if it was you, Mike, who gave this update, but look, guys, I know it's not his name, but I like saying this. Were you the one that was saying Lipschitz was doing really well down in the minor leagues?
He is. Yeah.
And he's an infielder though, right?
He's a first baseman.
Oh, he's a first baseman, so there's going to be no room for him up. Where are you going to put him? Can he play any other position?
He can play third base also. So, but right now, Oklahoma has him. That he's their starting first baseman.
Yeah, I think Michael Carrillo brings an interesting point, babyface. I get what you're saying because I think that's the reason why they re-signed Jason Heyward is for the clubhouse glue. But sooner or later, it's got to be about results, right? Because he's your teammate and all that stuff. But if it comes out, especially when you go through a tough stretch and you're not winning games, don't we need guys who are going to help us win games? Isn't that in the end what it is we need people here who are going to help us win games?
Well, you need somebody in there.
Well, I was going to say, that's why I see something more with Taylor as they're going to IL him. They're not just going to cut him loose. I don't see the Dodgers cutting him loose. They'll IL him. He's still on the team. He's still around. He might go on the IL like Syndergaard last year, right? He went on the IL and then there's no update. He's here, but he's there. So I think something like that might work in Chris Taylor's favor, but that remains to be seen.
Mike, I say this only, and I know, again, like I said, it's all about irresponsible speculation on this show. Is there a possibility that in order to address the outfield, maybe the way you do it is by moving Mookie back to right field and you get somebody to play second base and you just go with Miguel Rojas at short?
I don't know. I don't have a problem with Mookie playing second base. I wish he would just stay there. I don't think he's a shortstop. In my opinion, the Dodgers are playing with fire right now, and it's only going to take one bad hop of the ball. It's going to take him moving it a certain way to him blowing out his knee, or
someone taking him out at second.
Someone taking him out at second base. And then what's going to happen? You're going to lose one of your superstars, who's been probably one of the most consistent hitters of the team this year so far, the most reliable hitter, so far in this short season that we've had going on right now. I just think the Dodgers are playing with fire right now. And, that is a very demanding position. There's a lot of balls that are taken there. There's a lot that throwing. What I'm puzzled by is, him throwing a ball from right field to third base, with a dart. Why is he not doing that from shortstop to first?
Yeah.
His throws to first base are just weak. They look really weak to me, and I don't get that. He can throw a lot better, from the second base side. I would love to see Miguel Rojas, stay at shortstop. What I would love for the Dodgers to do would send Gavin Lux down to Oklahoma Give him 2 or 3 months down there in the shortstop position, even though, yeah, it's going to mess with Trey Sweeney, who is just killing it right now, for Oklahoma at the shortstop position. And let him rehab down there. Get those yips away that he had, making that throw from shortstop. And there you will see, yes, he's going to be our shortstop, or no, we're going to have to put him at second base, and we're going to have to find a shortstop, and then maybe move Mookie back to. But again, Mookie's Dave Roberts' boy, kind of like what you said about Shohei. If Mookie wants to play second base, if he wants to play shortstop, they're going to put him there.
Well, you said the secret word, Shohei. So let's talk about let's talk about Shohei, guys. We've gone this long without talking about Shohei and that shot that he hit in Washington. And I know a lot. It just seems like the ball. It sounds different coming off of that dude's bat. And I know that Dave Roberts had mentioned earlier that like he compares Shohei to Bonds and Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. And I think Shohei is very deceptive. If anybody has seen this guy up close, like the guy is huge. Like he really is. Like he's tall and but he's not like babyface. Back me up on this. It's not like his muscles are ripping through his clothes like guys like Giancarlo or Aaron Judge. Like Bonds was just huge in a different way, right? Because all of yeah, exactly. I mean, when the head is like that, but I feel like it's crazy. You tell me if I'm wrong here, guys, but it's like when I watch Shohei, I feel like this dude's not even swinging hard. He's like not swinging hard, and the ball is going off like 115 miles per hour off of the bat, and then he hits that shot, and he just seems like because of that, I also feel like he's just really special. I mean, and am I wrong there, babyface?
No, I mean, you hit it right on the head. Like, I mean, he is big. When you see him physically in front of you, the guy is big. He's over 6 feet. I mean, he is pretty. He is built pretty solid, but he's not that type of guy like you see a Giancarlo Stanton. You just see like those muscles coming out of that jersey, right? He doesn't look like that, but I mean, the dude is powerful. I mean, just strong. Even just the doubles he's hitting. It's not just the home runs, right? He's hitting doubles and they're like 115 miles. The home run was what, like 118 off the bat, and that thing like landed like top deck or something like that, or it's still going. I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, they've been asking some of the players just the sound that makes, like gunshot sound, just like it's. I mean, it's something we haven't seen from a Dodger player in like, I don't know since when. I mean, I can't even think
ever.
I can't even think of another Dodger player that hits like that. So,
yeah, his at bats just sound different to me, man. It is just like when he squares one up, it's exactly what you were talking about there, babyface. I mean, it's just fascinating to me because, Mookie just recently had a couple nice games, but we talk about the great start that Mookie had earlier in the week. All of a sudden, you looked at the numbers and Shohei and Mookie's numbers, and Shohei's numbers were looking better than him. Than Mookie's. And all we were talking about was, man, Mookie's red hot. Mookie's going to win the MVP. And here's this guy, and I don't know, Mike, maybe just Shohei is so damn good that we do take him for granted. And now that we get to see this guy play every day, it's like, I feel like it should feel special. And it's just like, oh, it's Shohei. Of course, Shohei's gonna do that.
I mean, honestly, in the very beginning when all the Shohei Ohtani stuff was going on, during the off season, I think I'm probably like the only one, in all of Dodger Stadium and who's watching, the live right now, and who was not really up. I wasn't buying the hype, man. I just wasn't. I was like,
all right, get out of here, Mike. Get out of here. You need to go to the witness protection program. The Showbays, they will find you, Mike. Why did you do this to yourself, Mike? The Showbays are going to come after you now.
But watching him play, it's just like, okay, I get it now. I see it. I understand it. I only watched a few Angel games and seen him on the highlights, and being at spring training and being able to be down on the field during the games, he is a big man, a big man. His legs are thick. They are really thick. And watching
He's got
him,
he's got that good thickness, Mike. Is that what you're
yeah,
talking about? He's got that
yeah,
good thickness.
he does. And the power that he generates from the lower portion of his body, that's what you're seeing right now. Just take yesterday's game, where he, lobbed, that blooper, into left center field that went for what? 102, 105 miles an hour. And that was just barely swinging at the bat. And that's just all the energy that he is generating from his hips and his lower portion of his body, that's there. When he smashed that ball into the upper deck, dude, that was amazing. Amazing. I'm fully on the Shohei train right now. I've seen the light and I'm all about it. I love the guy. I think he's good. Yeah, I think he's been a great addition to the Dodgers organization. I think he's brought a new foundation and lightness to when they're in the dugout, before games. You can see him and Yamamoto messing around with one another. He's, joking around with the other guys. He's lighting the mood up into there. And I think it's relaxed quite a few of them. And I think during a big, crazy game, that's going to be a big part of it. Is he the leader of the team? I don't know. It's hard to know who the leader is, the team, really, because they're all over the place. But no, Shohei is, like you're saying, he's a special player and once in a generational player, that we're lucky to have on our team. He's amazing.
I think the difference is now that we're seeing him every day. Like,
Yeah.
in previous years when he was in the Angels, right? We heard about him. We'd see, oh, dude hit another home run, or he's pitching, and we knew he was good, right? We knew he was a good player, really good talent. But now we're seeing him, like, we're really seeing everything that he does, and it's like, wow, we didn't, like, this dude is like really really good. Like, we're getting that firsthand knowledge, right? So, I think once we see that, and we see every day what he's doing, just how hard he hits the ball, it's different. It hits different than just watching somebody on TV, every once in a while. Now that you see him every day, it's like, wow, this dude is really, really special.
Well, we're seeing his dedication. We're seeing his work ethic. We're seeing the time that he's putting in. Before games, after games. And just what he contributes to the team. We didn't see that. When he was playing with the Angels, how he's down on the field. He's the first one down there. Doing his stretching. Warming up and getting things going. Before anybody else is. He was the first guy down in Dodger Stadium before the season even started. Working out and and doing things. That's the work ethic that I'm really impressed by with him. And the leadership by example. That I think that he's showing. To the team. And like that's what really sold me on him. Once I started seeing all that coverage of him and seeing him in person and spring training, what I got to see of him was just like impressive, man. It was very impressive.
But I honestly think he's having a better season now, right, with the Dodgers to start, and it's, to be honest with you, like, it kind of feels like, wow, it's like I mean, he's leading like almost all categories, right? It's like he's at the top of the list, and it's, I mean, I don't know if people, you don't hear that much about it, right? You don't really hear about that much about it, but I mean, can he win MVP from the DH spot? I mean, is that something, or now that he's just hitting, is it taking him to a completely different level as opposed to years when he was pitching and hitting?
Well, I know the ghost of Al Davis had posed that question on there. And by the way, thank you, Mr. Rader, for catching my thickness reference. But yeah, I don't, look, I don't think he's going to win MVP. And the reason why is because of guys like Mookie, and it's going to be guys like Federico, and it's going to be writers who are going to sit there and go, you're on a stacked team, therefore you're going to lose votes. People aren't going to vote for him because of that. but I mean, the guy is out there playing, right, Mike?
I don't see him, winning the MVP. That would be, in my opinion, a slap in the face to Mookie Betts. Going from if Mookie Betts keeps going the way that he's going, consistently throughout the whole season, in my opinion, it'd be a slap in the face for him. Taking a guy out of at a left field or right field, putting him at second base, and then moving him to shortstop, and making him your everyday shortstop. He's producing. He's probably one of your most consistent hitters, on the team. He goes 5 for 5 one game. He goes, 3 for 5 the next game. He's just a consistent hitter. And he's what he's virtually the Dodgers. That's there. But you have Shohei Ohtani, who's a designated hitter, who's a high name. I don't see. I agree, Juan. I just don't see it. I think Mookie Betts is well more deserving of that.
I mean, as of right now, it is April. Things can change. But as we just sat here and washed Ohtani's balls for the last 10 minutes and about how great he is, I still, the crazy thing is Mookie has a higher batting average. Mookie's hitting 374, has the same amount of home runs as Ohtani, and he has more RBIs than Ohtani, and he has a higher OPS right now. And it's because of stuff like that I feel like if things remain the way they are, it hurts Ohtani. It hurts Ohtani if he was putting these numbers up on any other team, then yeah, I think you guys are right. He has an argument for MVP. Roy Estrada brings up a very interesting point. The fact that he is not pitching this year, and if he keeps stealing bases, he may start making a real argument. But there is a possibility that he may end up having a better year this year with the Dodgers than the previous years where he did win MVP, and he might not even finish in the top 3, which is crazy.
And just like Roy's saying, if he was pitching and he's hitting and he's stealing, yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to beat him out. But all he's doing is he's the designated hitter. He's stealing every once in a while. He's making some good steals. It seems like almost every time he's at bat, he's getting a double. He's the Freddie Freeman of last year, where he's
on pace for like 90 doubles. So
yeah,
if he does that,
yeah, it's a tough one, man. But in my opinion, like I said, if this is going to be what Mookie's going to be like all year long, I think he's well deserving of the MVP.
Like something tells me we're going to be having this conversation towards the end of the year. We're probably going to have this conversation all year long, and hopefully this just results to more wins for the Dodgers. There's a couple of things that I want to address before we end the show. I saw this a couple of times in the chat already, the jokes that Ohtani is on a plane en route to Toronto. Look, guys, it amazes me that I don't think poor JP Hornstra is ever going to live this down. And I don't think he travels to cover the team, so he's not going to be in Toronto, or I could be wrong. He may be in Toronto. But anytime I hear that now, I think of poor JP Hornstra. Have you seen him at the stadium, Babyface?
I might have seen him one game. I haven't really seen him that much, but I heard he's out there, but I haven't. On the games I've been there, he hasn't been there.
Yeah, so Ohtani's going to be in Toronto, everybody. He's on a plane en route to Toronto, so get that joke out. You're going to be able to go ahead and have that conversation. The last thing I want to end the show with this. Landon Knack went 6 innings, and I thought that was huge because in that second inning, things could have gone left on him really quickly on Wednesday, and he was able to limit the damage. And the fact that he was able to give them 6 innings and then allow Ryan Yarbrough to come in and do what Yarbrough does, especially coming off of the bullpen, have to cover a lot of innings on Tuesday's game. The 2 starts from Landon Knack, I mean, the guy's given up 2 runs in both starts. And the way things started at Dodger Stadium in the first inning, I was like, oh, maybe Landon Knack is not ready. I feel like Landon Knack has definitely earned at least one more start. But Mike, let me ask you this: why not just keep Landon Knack? Because I don't know that Buehler is ready. Can you, first of all, can you give us an update on Walker Buehler's start in Oklahoma City this week?
So I watched the Walker's game yesterday. All 4 innings. He was supposed to go 5. Walker did pretty good. You know, you can tell he's still struggling a little bit with his command. He did give up two home runs. What was weird was I think it was the second inning. And granted, they're playing in New Mexico, you know, where it's high elevation and the ball's going to travel. You know, if you get good contact on it. So yesterday in the second inning, Walker gave up a home run, and at the very next batter gave up a double. The third inning, same exact thing. Another guy came up, hit the home run. The very next batter, he hit a double. I think he had, if I remember correctly, he had four strikeouts for the game, and you could tell that he's working on his, getting his pitch count up. He's getting his command, where he wants to. It was there. His fastball was reaching 94 miles an hour. His slider, his curve, all of his other pitches, that he has were decent, but it needs a little bit, of adjustment. And I think they pulled him out, and he was sitting at, if I remember correctly, 86. He had thrown 86 pitches in 4 innings. So you could see the struggle a little bit that was there. He walked, a few batters. Do I think we're going to see the old Walker Buehler? Not this year. I don't see that. I see a refined Walker Buehler. You can tell his approach, his windup, and the way that he's throwing is a little bit different. And I think he wants to save his arm because he doesn't have that violent throw that he used to have. He's still got some violence in his body mechanics, but he looks a little bit different, than years past. I think they may give him another start down in Oklahoma, but I won't be surprised if they bring him up. But I don't think that they should let Landon Knack go. I'm not surprised on Landon Knack on what he's done. Yes, his very first start at Dodger Stadium, the nerves got to him. You could see that. It's just like any player, who comes up from the minor leagues and is playing in front of their family and 49,000 people. Yeah, they're going to get a little rattled, the first inning. Was he the Landon Knack, that, a lot of it, like Tim Rogers and I, do a lot of minor league stuff. Was he the Landon Knack that, that we're used to seeing, in that game? No, but he became the Landon Knack that we're used to seeing, during the second inning, the third inning, the fourth inning. That's what Dodgers fans will get from him. He's a consistent thrower. He's a good thrower. He's a good number 4, number 5 starter.
Babyface, I feel that as long as Landon Knack is pitching the way he's pitching right now, you keep throwing him out there and allow Buehler more time. Because of the fact that Buehler got hit in the hand in that game at Rancho, and that was short, it feels like we're rushing him, and it's like there's no need to rush him. Landon Knack is holding down the fort right now. So, yeah, let him make one more start, and if he needs another one after that, let him do another one. At this point, I say let's ride Landon Knack. Let Landon Knack get the experience at the major league level, because I'm pretty sure the way this Dodgers starting rotation is, we're going to need Landon Knack again later on in the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Knack will get another start, coming up. They're already slated for like a pin game, I think, on Sunday. So obviously there's that need. And with Walker, I mean, that guy's itching to get back. But if he's not ready, I know it's going to probably piss him off if they continue to tell him, hey, we're going to hold you back another, make another start in down in the minors or another 2 starts. I know it's going to piss him off, but like you said, if you don't need him necessarily right now, you can ride with Knack, but they are probably going to get those bullpen games every fifth start or whatever. So that's something right.
That I'm curious of what they're going to do next week, because they're in a stretch where they're playing 9 games in a row. And obviously Yamamoto is only going to get 1 start of the week. So something tells me that we might either see a bullpen game on Sunday, or I think we're definitely going to see one in Arizona. You guys disagree with that?
No, I don't disagree with that at all.
I mean, unless, well, I mean, even if you start like somebody like Grove or Yarbrough, that's essentially a bullpen game, right? So, I mean, we are gonna see it, and then Yamamoto. There is no off day, so if Yamamoto went today on a Thursday, they can't hold him until the next series. So, yeah, they're gonna have to either figure out another bullpen game, or there's no update really on Bobby Miller either. And the longer that he goes out, or the longer that he's out, is just going to prolong. If he's not tossing and playing catch, it's going to now he's going to basically he's starting over, so he's going to have to ramp up again. So that's going to make that that his time that he's out a lot longer. So
he's still shut down, right?
No, he's throwing.
Doc, it's slow though. I mean, he's not doing anything. He's not doing any type of bullpen, nothing like that. So he's still a ways away. Probably a couple weeks at least. Could be a couple weeks to a month. So it's still going to be a while. So I'd assume by that time Walker Buehler is back. But then again, you touch on what we've been discussing for a long time. Okay, you bring back Walker Buehler, you have a guy like Knack. With Miller out, do you just go with a 6-man bullpen? Or even, if Knack is down and Miller's up, are you going to go with a 6-man rotation?
They have to, because of what Roy just said right now. If Yamamoto is only going to pitch once a week, and you're going to give Paxton an extra day every time he comes through the rotation, this is why I just keep Landon Knack up. I mean, go to the 6-man rotation. I hate these bullpen games. Because we've talked about this before on previous episodes. You schedule a bullpen game, and then the next day something goes left on you, and now you have back-to-back bullpen games. So that's the worst part about it. Again, guys, we want to thank you for joining us. I know this was a very busy night, because not only did we have the NFL draft with the Raiders. First pick is a tight end, ladies and gentlemen. But the Laguneros are playing tonight. Let's see what creative way they have to break our hearts tonight.
Are they winning or are they losing? What's the score on that?
I don't even want to look. Don't even get my hopes up. If anybody can give me an update on the Laker game,
they're up by 4 at half, 53-49.
Well,
USC's quarterback went to Chicago Bears.
That's right. He's the Bears. The Bears. So again, if you guys are just joining us for the very first time, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us the thumbs up. Make sure you're engaged. Help spread the word. This has been another episode of the Bleed Los Podcast. En vivo, the carne asada, ladies and gentlemen. For Mike Salas, thank you for joining us, Mike. Stepping in at the very last minute, dropping the knowledge, and being okay with being irresponsible with our speculation, and not worried about your reputation at all, Mike. I love that.
I'm not.
I'm glad that you're able to do that. For Babyface, and then hopefully next week, Canelo will join us, and he can give us an update about his adventures in our nation's capital. Yo ha sido su servidor Juan Ramírez, de parte de mis colegas Mike Salas and Babyface. Nos vemos para la próxima. This episode of the Bleed Loves Podcast has been brought to you by Bet Online, where the game starts. Nos vemos.